right, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling Atomic Habits, the book by JamesClear. It's all about how those little everyday choices we make, they can add up to some pretty incredible results. And, before we really get into it, Clear's backstory is kind of fascinating. It's not your typical, self-help guru kind of story.
Yeah.
Back in college, he had this awful baseball accident. I mean, broken bones, facial fractures, the whole 9 yards. He even ended up in a coma. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Yeah, talk about a setback, right? But here's where things get interesting. He used the exact principles he writes about in Atomic Habits to recover. Yeah. And he slowly rebuilt his strength and eventually became an academic All-American. That's the power of these small changes over time.
It really shows you, the core message of the book. It's not about making huge sudden changes. It's about those little consistent improvements. They build up over time, kind of like compound interest, but for your habits.
Okay, so tiny tweaks, big results. I like it. But how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
I mean, put it into practice. That's where, I guess, the 4 laws of behavior change come in, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Those laws give you a framework to understand how habits work, how they form, how you break them, and how you can, use that knowledge to build better ones.
Ooh, framework. I love a good framework. So break it down for me.
Okay, so the first law is make it obvious. It's all about recognizing the cues that trigger your habits. Let's say you want to start meditating every day. You could put your meditation cushion somewhere. You see it every morning, like right by your coffee maker. So over time, you see the cushion and it reminds you to sit and meditate.
So you're like making those good habits impossible to miss.
Exactly. The second law is make it attractive. The more you like a habit, the more you'll stick to it. One way to make it more appealing is to pair it with something you already enjoy. Let's say you want to listen to more podcasts. You could make a rule that you only listen while you're on your daily walk.
Oh, I do that. It's like sneaking in some self-improvement with your exercise.
Yeah, exactly. The third law is make it easy. We're way more likely to follow through with habits that don't take much effort. So Clear has this great idea. He calls it the 2-minute rule. You start with a really simple version of the habit that takes, less than 2 minutes.
2 minutes? That sounds almost too easy.
Right. That's the point. If you want to start writing every day, don't try to write a whole essay right away. Just write one sentence. That's it. Once you've gotten over that first little hurdle, you're more likely to keep going.
I get it. It's like tricking your brain into taking action. Sneaky, but I like it.
And finally, the fourth law is make it satisfying. We repeat the things that feel good, so how do you make those healthy habits feel good? One way is to track your progress, like with a habit tracker. Seeing all those successful days in a row, that can give you a feeling of accomplishment and keep you going.
It's like those gold stars we used to get in school, right?
Yeah.
A little reward for doing a good job.
Exactly. And the really interesting thing is, when you put all 4 laws together, they create a kind of force for habit change. Let's say you want to start flossing regularly. You could keep your floss right by your toothbrush. Make it obvious. Then you can make it attractive by, listening to music while you floss, and make it easy by just flossing one tooth to start. Then mark your progress on a tracker, make it satisfying.
So it's like you're setting off this chain reaction of habits. Each law helps the others work.
Exactly. And that's how you create lasting change. It's not about forcing yourself, it's about making your environment and habits work for you.
So it's less about willpower and more about setting yourself up for success.
Right.
Okay, I'm seeing how these 4 laws can make a difference. But, we're human, we slip up. What about those times?
Clear talks about that too. He says one of the best ways to break a bad habit is to make it, unsatisfying.
Unsatisfying. So like if I keep checking my phone all the time, I could make myself do 10 push-ups every time I catch myself.
You could. He even suggests making a habit contract. It's basically a written agreement where you say what the consequences are if you don't stick to your habits.
Ooh, that sounds serious. Tell me more.
So he tells this funny story about an entrepreneur, this guy named Brian Harris. He used a habit contract to help him lose weight, but with these hilarious punishments. Like if he didn't hit his protein and carb goals, he had to pay his trainer $100. And if he skipped the gym, he had to wear this shirt to work that said, "I didn't go to the gym today."
That's amazing. Talk about accountability. I might need to try that.
The great thing about a habit contract is it makes you face the consequences right away, so those bad habits become less appealing.
It's like having a coach and a drill sergeant all in one. But even without a formal contract, just having someone to keep you accountable, that can help a lot too, right? Like knowing someone's watching and cheering you on.
Absolutely. It's all about using that social support to keep you going.
This is all making so much sense. It's like a light bulb moment. But here's a question. What about goals? Those are important too, right?
This is where Clear's argument gets interesting. He actually says that goals can sometimes make us less happy because we're always focused on the future, not the present.
Wait, goals are bad. That's a new one.
It might sound strange, but think about it. If we're always chasing some future goal, we never really enjoy the moment. And happiness is often found in the present.
I see your point. It's like that saying, life is a journey, not a destination, right? But goals give us something to work towards, don't they?
They can, but Clear says we should focus more on building systems, not obsessing over goals.
Yeah, so what's the difference between a goal and a system, I mean?
Think of it like this. A bad gardener worries about the results, the harvest. A good gardener focuses on the system. Planting, watering, weeding. The harvest is just a result of the system.
So instead of saying, I want to lose 10 pounds, I should focus on creating a system of healthy eating and exercise habits.
Exactly. The right systems will lead to the results you want.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. But how do we know which systems to build? Like, which habits should we focus on?
Well, that's where things get personal. Clear talks about finding your game, something you're naturally good at and that you enjoy.
Finding your niche where you can really shine.
Exactly. He gives this example of the Polgar sisters, 3 Hungarian sisters. Their father basically raised them to be chess prodigies. They were surrounded by tests from a young age, and they excelled because their passion and skills were a perfect match.
So it's not just working hard, it's working hard at the right things for you.
Right, playing a game where you already have an advantage.
Now that's a winning strategy.
Yeah.
This is all so insightful, but it also makes me realize building good habits, it takes work. It's not just about willpower, it's about strategy too.
It does take effort, but the good news is, once you understand how habits work, you can build better ones more effectively.
So it's not about being perfect, it's about understanding the process and getting a little bit better each day.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of Atomic Habits. Small changes lead to big results over time.
This has been eye-opening. I'm definitely ready to delve a little deeper into this world of atomic habits. Let's keep this deep dive going.
One of the most powerful things in the book, I think, is this idea of identity-based habits. It really changes how we think about change itself.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting. It's like, what is it? I am what I repeatedly do. Something like that.
I got the idea. But Clear takes it further. He says our habits actually shape our identity, and then our identity shapes our habits back. It's like this loop.
Okay, now my mind is really grown. So it's not just about like going through the motions. It's about actually believing in who you are, the person behind those actions.
Exactly. Instead of focusing on the outcome, like losing 10 pounds, we should ask, who's the kind of person who just naturally stays at a healthy weight? What are their habits?
I'm starting to get it. It's like, if I want to be a writer, I need to start seeing myself as a writer, not just someone who wants to write. Like, really owning that identity.
Exactly. You align your actions with who you want to be. And the cool thing is every little thing you do reinforces that identity. So even if you just write for a few minutes, you're strengthening that writer part of yourself.
So it's like you're making it happen by acting like it's already true. The more I act like a writer, the more I believe it, and then that makes me write even more.
That's it. And as you believe it more, those actions get easier, more natural. You build momentum.
This is powerful stuff. But let's be honest, we all have those moments, those weak moments, where temptation wins. How do we deal with those bad habits that just won't go away?
Remember those 4 laws? To break bad habits, Clear says you kind of flip them around. So instead of make it obvious, you try to make it invisible.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
Let's say you're always on social media. To cut back, you could delete those apps from your phone, log out of your accounts, just make it a little harder to get to them.
So it's like putting some distance between you and the temptation. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Exactly. And instead of make it attractive, you try to make it unattractive.
So if I always snack late at night, I could put all the snacks in the hard-to-reach cupboard.
Exactly. Or swap them for healthier things you don't crave as much. The point is to make those unhealthy choices less tempting.
This is making me rethink my whole kitchen. But what about those really ingrained habits, the ones that feel impossible to break?
Clear suggests one-time actions. Little changes you make once, but they have a big effect on your habits.
I like the sound of that. Efficient. Give me an example.
Let's say you want to drink more water. You buy a nice reusable water bottle, keep it filled up on your desk. Just that makes it easier and more enjoyable to stay hydrated all day.
It's like setting your future self up for success. I love it. But what about when we know what to do, but we just don't do it? Like, we have the intention, but the motivation's gone.
That's where understanding immediate versus delayed rewards comes in.
Okay, explain that one.
Our brains love instant gratification. So those unhealthy habits, like eating a donut, they give you a reward right away. But healthy habits, like exercise, the reward comes later.
The classic battle. Short-term pleasure versus long-term gain. So how do we make those delayed rewards win?
Claire says find ways to add a little immediate pleasure to the healthy habits. Maybe you listen to your favorite podcast while you work out, or take a relaxing bath after a long day. Make the process itself more enjoyable.
So it's not about denying yourself pleasure, it's about finding it in the right places.
Exactly. And you can make those bad habits less satisfying by adding a little immediate pain. Remember the habit contract, that's one way to do it.
Right, so it's like we're playing these mind games with ourselves, using those immediate rewards and punishments to push us in the right direction. I like it. But does it all come down to willpower in the end?
Not necessarily. Clear actually says willpower is like a limited resource. It gets used up throughout the day. So just relying on willpower will probably fail.
That makes sense. We've all felt that decision fatigue by the end of the day. So if it's not willpower, then what is it?
It's about designing your environment and habits to help you reach your goals, removing temptations, making good choices easier, and finding ways to enjoy the process. And don't underestimate accountability. Having someone, a friend, family, coach to support you and hold you accountable, that can be huge.
So it's like building a support system for your habits.
Exactly. When you put all these strategies together, that's when you create real change.
This is all so empowering. It's like we're taking control of our lives, one small habit at a time. But I have to admit, it's a bit overwhelming. It makes you realize how much effort goes into really changing.
It does take effort, but it's not about being perfect. It's about understanding the process, trying things out, and finding what works for you.
It's like a journey of self-discovery, you know?
Yeah.
Always learning and growing.
Exactly. And that's what makes Atomic Habits so good. It's not just rules. It's a guide for that journey. It's about understanding yourself and using those tiny changes to create a life you love.
Okay, I'm feeling super inspired. But I'm curious, what did you find most impactful in the book? What really stood out to you? Okay, let's hear it. What's the big takeaway?
You know, the thing that really hit home for me in Atomic Habits is this idea that we're not like stuck with our past mistakes or even our current situation.
You mean we can always change, it's never too late?
Yeah, exactly. We have the power to shape our future one little habit at a time. Even if we messed up before, those setbacks, they don't define us. What matters is what we do today, right now, to become the person we want to be.
That's really encouraging. Like, we can let go of the past and just focus on building a better future.
That's it. And it goes back to those tiny changes, those little things we do each day. They can add up and create amazing results. Like Clear says, success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations.
So it's not about waiting for some big inspiration to strike. It's about just showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it.
Exactly. It's about embracing the process, knowing that each little step, no matter how small, is getting you closer to your goals.
It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But in this case, it's a journey of 1,000 tiny habits.
Exactly. And those habits, they create a ripple effect. They don't just affect us, they affect the people around us too. Think about the positive impact we can have on our families, our communities, even the world, just by building better habits.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. This is like this chain reaction of good stuff, all starting from those small atomic habits.
It is. And it all starts with making that choice, that conscious decision to change, to embrace those small actions, and believe that we can create a better future for ourselves and everyone around us.
Well, I'm feeling super inspired. I'm ready to put all this into action. What are some things our listeners can do, like right now, to start using these principles in their own lives?
First, think about one area of your life where you want to see change. Maybe it's your health, your relationships, your money, your career, anything. Then, pick one small habit you can start building in that area. Remember the 2-minute rule? Make it super easy to get started.
So, like, if they want to exercise more, they could just do 5 push-ups every morning.
Exactly. Or if they want to manage their money better, they could track their spending for 5 minutes a day. The important thing is to start small and be consistent. Don't worry about doing a lot, just do it regularly.
That's great advice. What else?
Create an environment that supports your new habit. Remember the 4 laws. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Make it easy to make healthy choices by setting up your surroundings to help you.
So like, if you want to eat healthier, fill your fridge with fruits and veggies and hide the junk food.
Exactly. Or if you want to read more, make a cozy reading spot and always have a book nearby. It's about making things easy for yourself.
I love those ideas.
Yeah.
Any last words of wisdom for our listeners?
Remember, building better habits is a journey. It takes time. There will be ups and downs, but the important thing is to keep learning, keep trying new things, and keep going, even if it's just one small step at a time. And don't forget to celebrate those little wins. They add up to big results eventually.
That's a great reminder. It's not about being perfect, it's about progress. And those tiny steps, those atomic habits, they can change our lives in ways we never thought possible.
That's the beauty of it. It's a journey of self-discovery, growth, and change, and every little step brings us closer to the best versions of ourselves.
Well said. This deep dive into atomic habits has been amazing. I feel inspired and ready to keep building those better habits one step at a time.
Me too. It's been great exploring these ideas with you and our listeners. Remember, tiny changes, remarkable results. That's the power of Atomic Habits.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into atomic habits. We hope you got a lot out of it. Until next time, keep up those small wins. They make a big difference.